it can be so difficult for especially like men in society to be able to be vulnerable and like confront a lot of tough feelings. Before we get started with our episode, we're going to hear from our sponsors. When I first started this podcast, I kind of had to figure it all out on my own, you know? Finding the right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything can be a game changer. For millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Turn your big business into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Rebecca. Go to shopify.com/Rebecca. Shopify.com/Rebecca. Now let's get started with this week's episode. Now that we're caffeinated.
Yes.
Oh my God. Literally like one sip and it's a placebo effect.
You were brought to life.
It's 100% placebo, but it doesn't matter because it works.
And yours tastes like Christmas in a cup.
It does, and it's all the Christmas that I can get at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, JT. What is your last name?
so this is actually really
name?
Yeah, no, this is hilarious. So everyone calls me JT.
Yeah.
And my last name is Tallis, but my first name is Jeremy. So that's where the JT
is
comes
literally
from.
your first and last name. I love that.
But people call me JT Tallis, so it's just Jeremy Tallis.
That's like people who say chai tea.
Chai tea. It's
yeah,
TT.
it's TTT.
Yeah.
It's just chai. Yeah. Oh my God. You are the human embodiment of chai tea, and I love that.
Thank you
so much. So you have a band, but you also go solo.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I want to hear how did you come here? Tell me your journey.
Oh boy.
Because you're a fascinating person to me.
Thank you.
And I have friends that are like, "Oh my God, you're meeting with JT today." And I'm
really?
like,
That's
yeah,
so cool.
We're buddies now.
Yeah. So I come from a small town in northern Michigan called Petoskey, and I went to a concert when I was 14. I went to a My Chemical Romance concert, and I was already.
Oh, I love that.
Right, I was already super into music, and but when I saw them play, and they were playing 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. I was like, all right. That's what I want to do. That.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I started in like a little pop punk band called Deadweight Society, which was just like a local thing. But we had like awesome local shows for northern Michigan. Like 400 kids would come out to a shitty little VFW hall.
That's
or like a fairgrounds show.
For like younger people who like might be really into like music, how do you even set up a local show like that? How does that work?
Well, it's very different.
Now. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
like because there's not as many local bands as there used to be, which is weird
really?
to say.
Why?
I think because a lot of people just turn to like bedroom producer kind of stuff.
Okay.
Where you're not necessarily getting as many musicians together and playing live things. Most people that I see these days will like write songs, play all the instruments themselves, or program them, right? And then release songs, and that's it. And then make reels.
And they hope the virality is
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that
like
makes sense.
I feel like local shows just don't happen as much. They still do happen, just not
at the level
not as much as they used
okay.
to. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's there's no local shows at home anymore, like not in the same way that they used to be. People play at bars and stuff.
That's sad.
It is sad.
Because it like gets people out in front of an audience in a way that they like, I feel like is important to experience if you're gonna go big. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if I want to play a show, I'm usually flying somewhere.
Wow.
At this point.
Oh, that's so sad.
Or driving like 4 hours away.
That's sad because especially when like you build up this local community that's so supportive, and it's like
Yeah.
JK.
Yeah. Well, I feel like so our local community was a little funny. They pumped you up, and then as soon as you start doing something, they're like, meh.
You know what? I think that's a thing.
Yeah,
I found
for sure.
that on social media so hard that people like when someone is considered like an underdog or like what people perceive as a small business, and they see it like, oh, you're working out of your home, that's a small business, or you're just starting, support. And the moment anyone like kind of makes a break, it's like, oh, we don't support corporations. And it's like, well, this is still a mom and pop shop. This is still a small business. This is what? This is still a person. This isn't Target. It's not Walmart.
Yeah, they
What do
think
you
you're making
mean?
like tons of money.
No.
No.
And then it doesn't help when you like Google, like if you Google my net worth, what it says that I make is not what I make.
Same.
That's like, what? I'm not, no. I wish. Someone show me where that's hidden, please.
Oh, okay. All right.
But sorry, continue.
God, where were we?
So you were local shows.
Yes.
With your pop punk band.
Yep. And then, so I did that for a while, and then that kind of just fell off a little bit, and I wanted to do something heavier. So I started looking around. I went through so many musicians in my local scene just because it's such a small town.
Yeah.
There weren't that many people to pick from, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up just like pulling people from different states, and they actually like moved to Michigan.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
To start a band?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, my current bass player right now, his name's Tyler Michael Bust. He moved with our old bass player because he used to play guitar, but they moved from Washington.
Wow.
Yeah, and right now my guitar player and my drummer, they're down in Tampa, and
Wow.
Tyler is in Vegas. So like people hit us up to play shows, and they don't realize how much of an
There's
effort
a lot of moving pieces.
that is exactly to get us together, because we have to practice.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
You know, and then COVID, we actually took a break.
What was the band called?
Famous Last
Famous
Words.
Last Words. Yeah.
So we took a break right before COVID happened, which was wild.
Wow.
Yeah, because everything shut down, and we were like, oh, well, we don't have anything planned to cancel, so this is great, right? Like we took this break at the right time, because we're seeing all of our friends, all their tours and stuff. They had to cancel them, and that's a lot of
that's a
money,
lot of moving
effort,
pieces.
time. Yeah.
A lot of angry fans too.
A lot of angry. Well, I mean, I don't think fans blamed any of the bands.
I think I think when people didn't realize how severe COVID was going to be, it was very easy to be annoyed as you saw things getting canceled. And then once everything really shut down, it was like, oh, no-brainer. But until it really clicked for people, because I remember I used to show kids like CNN 10 to do current events, and we would see, like, I remember they were talking about COVID constantly in other countries. And we're, it's not coming here. Don't worry. It's fine. And so, it didn't really click until March, really, the beginning of March. And we saw it unfolding other
when,
places
the first
in the world.
school shut down.
In January, I remember them doing segments about it spreading in Asia. And we're like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Back to what we're doing. It never really clicked that it was coming here and impacting everyone until it did.
Yeah.
And so I think leading up to it, it would be really easy for people to be upset seeing the cancellations.
Right.
But then once it really clicked of, oh no.
I think a lot of the cancellations didn't really happen until after that, though.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah. But that was, I remember, because I was working at a school before everything shut down too, because I used to tutor math. And I remember seeing the article that the schools in California shut down.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is real.
Crazy.
This is really happening. And then state after state, I'm going to my boss. I'm like, what is this?
Is this
Are we
real?
shutting down? What's happening right now? And it's like, yeah, it'll be for like a week.
I was told 2 weeks at most.
Nope.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
I even told the kids, I remember saying, don't slack off. Like, we still, are going to have to take this test eventually. So, we'll do a review when we come back, and then we're taking this test, and never saw those kids again.
That's crazy.
Never saw them again.
Yeah, but that's just what happened.
That's wild.
Yeah, we were not ready for it. No one was. It was so crazy.
So you were touring, like, before COVID?
Mm-hmm.
That's so how does one even go about setting that up? Like, how does that work? I don't know anything about this world.
Okay, yeah. Let me enlighten you.
So you found bandmates from all over the country.
Yep.
That's so cool. How did you find them?
MySpace.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
And you were just like, hey, who wants to be in a band? And they're like, yeah.
So we had like a little bit of buzz just from being on social media and posting stuff. We did this cover. Okay.
I'm ready.
Our manager, we signed to this management company called Outer Loop Management.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things our manager told me to do was a cover of this new song that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it'll be great. Cover it. People are gonna love it. I go, okay, well, what's the song called? I'm down. Let's do it. He says, oh, it's called Friday by Rebecca Black.
Oh.
I go, oh, I don't even know who that is. I've never heard of this song, but let's check it out. And I listened to it. I'm like,
this is terrible.
Is he? He's like joking, right? Like he's not serious. He goes, I'm dead serious. Do it or like we're gonna drop you.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so said,
wow.
Okay, I'm 16, fresh out of high school.
Wow.
And yeah, I was like, all right, well, I feel like this is my break. I need to just listen to what this guy says right now because I didn't know any better.
At 16.
Yeah,
wow.
And we did it. And
people liked it?
People liked it. It's so
okay,
bad.
I'm gonna have to go find it.
It's so bad.
It can't be worse than the original.
It's not worse than the original. It's an upgrade. And then there's this drummer, I think his name was Kobus. But he was I think a South African drummer, and he did this compilation drum video on YouTube, and it was like all these pop culture songs, and that one came up, and he used our cover for his drum thing, and that got a lot of traction to the original one that we posted, and that's how I met Tyler and Jesse on MySpace.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So that's how you found each other.
Yeah.
And so how do you go about setting up like tour? How do you even decide like, okay, we're ready. We've got the demand. We're going to give the supply.
So a lot of that was like management.
Okay.
They would try to find us a booking agent. You try to line it up around album cycles and stuff.
Okay.
Start maybe more regional-ish, or like since I'm on the East Coast, close to the East Coast, we would do like East Coast runs, and then we would branch it out. But sometimes like they just throw you on it and you just go. And they weren't
cool.
like early on. It wasn't good.
You gotta build your way up.
You gotta build your way up. You gotta rough it. You're sleeping in Walmart parking lots.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember there's this one. I was just telling this story the other day. Actually, there's this one time we had no money. We were in the middle of nowhere. We were staying the night, and we had nowhere to go. And our the same manager. I didn't like him very much.
It's funny how that
He
works.
invited us to stay at his house, but we couldn't come inside. He made us sleep in the parking lot.
Did you have like RVs or just vans?
No, we were touring in a minivan.
Oh.
Like 5 of us. And he's like, you can't
what?
come in. You have to stay in your van in the parking lot.
Why?
Because his parents were home, is what he said. And we're like,
How old
okay.
Was he?
In his, I think in his like late 20s or something.
So did he live at his parents' house or was his parents visiting?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But
That
we weren't
is
allowed
crazy.
in. And there's this video of us from that night where we're just like eating peanut butter and jelly with a spoon because we had no money. No money, no food, nothing was out.
You couldn't even order a pizza?
No, everything was closed.
So rude.
Yeah, and he was like, just sleep in your van out in my parking lot. And then the next morning, he was like, I guess you guys can come in and take showers. And his parents were there, and we met him. They were like, oh, you should have come inside. And we're like, are you serious?
That is so weird.
Yeah, it was super weird. Yeah, not a great time, but, it builds character. Right?
It's a good story for later.
Yeah.
It really shows you want it.
We wanted it.
Oh, my God. So, like, what genre of music is this?
Metalcore.
Okay. I know that there's, like, a lot of specific labels.
There
in
sure
them, and
are.
I'm like, I don't understand all of them, but I'm learning.
It's I would say it's metalcore, but there's so many other elements. There's, like, pop punk, there's softer acoustic stuff that we did, like very theatrical, like string parts in it. So it's kind of across the board very different.
But the metalcore just kind of like speaks to you as an artist.
No, it's just generally I would put it in that category.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of like pretty singing and then breakdowns and screaming, rah-rahs and all that.
And you're the
stuff.
lead singer.
Yes.
Okay. And I know you do some solo stuff also, yes?
Yeah, that's not metalcore.
Okay. What would you consider that?
Alternative, dark pop kind of stuff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do most of the songwriting?
Yeah.
So explain to me like your process.
Okay,
Because I know you have a lot of like very deep and vulnerable songs that I think are just wonderful and beautiful, and I would love to talk about that.
Yeah. So Famous Last Words is the band, and then Postscript is my solo stuff. Famous Last Words, we did concept records a lot because I'm a musical theater kid.
Okay, so what does that mean? I'm dumb. Just
No, You're not dumb. Don't say that. So, like, concept records is essentially I would write a story.
Oh, okay.
And then each song would be like a chapter or like a specific story point.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's almost like a metalcore musical.
So like every album is like its own chapter book.
Yep. It's its own story.
A lot.
And they were like
I'm a huge reader, so I love that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So they were like darker, kind of like serious stories.
Okay.
That covered like some intense topics.
Okay.
Like there's one. The first one was more of like a thriller, horror kind of one.
Okay.
And then the next one, it was called Council of the Dead. So our first album, was Two-Face Charade.
Okay.
And that was the thriller horror one. And it was this guy who has like a split personality thing going on. And he falls in love with his neighbor, and she rejects him. He gets obsessive and insane and has this voice, like, he calls his inner demon, and it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love psychology, so like this is so fascinating for me. I love that stuff. So where did you get like the vision for that?
So
That's
one,
so creative.
Yeah, that one was supposed to. I wanted to do a concept record about Phantom of the Opera, really bad.
Oh, I love that. Okay, theater kid. Yeah. I get it now.
And our same manager, he was like, "Don't do that. You can't do that." I said, "Okay, I won't do that."
What, did he have a reason why?
He didn't. He meant don't do a concept record.
Oh.
Like, he didn't want us to do concept records. I said, I won't do that concept record. So I wrote my own one, and then we just wrote the whole thing and did the album. And he was like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess whatever."
I guess it's good. I guess if people like it.
Well, that album's the one that like put us on the map.
Yeah, as you should. So I feel like I get chills. I feel like sometimes the people who work in like the business side and the corporate side, they don't understand the creative side. And sometimes they try to make executive, because like I don't do the music
totally
stuff,
right.
but even in social media, like people, oh well, you should XYZ, and I'm like, that makes no sense. That's not.
Oh,
good.
You know my audience better than me.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fun.
what? No, there's a reason that I have the people. I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
But yeah. We're gonna take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. When I first started this podcast, I kind of had to figure it all out on my own, you know? Guests, equipment. That was a struggle. Everything was a new task. Each one more daunting and intimidating than the last. And that can go for really any new project that someone's taking on, Every day there's a bigger and bigger to-do list, and it can be really difficult to not let it overrun your regular life. Finding the right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything can be a game changer. For millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. Get started with your own design studio, accelerate your content creation with their AI tools, and easily create emails and marketing campaigns like you have your own marketing team behind you. What better way to get the word out? If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Rebecca. Go to shopify.com/Rebecca. Shopify.com/Rebecca. Now, back to our episode.
So we did that one, and then the next album was called Council of the Dead. And that follows the story of all of these people, and it's almost like a purgatory kind of place. And they only remember like the last 5 minutes before they died.
Oh,
so
chills.
they go around this circle, almost like a group meeting, like almost like an AA meeting.
Wow.
And they tell their story about what they remember. So they go over, there's someone who died from an overdose, or someone who died in like street violence, or someone who died from suicide. There's someone who died in a car accident. Like the car accident one. That one's intense because in that story, it's this father and daughter, and it's all about different perspectives on death.
Wow.
Right? So everyone's talking about their own deaths, but in the car accident one, he's
experiencing another.
He's there and he's dead and he knows it, but he looks around and he doesn't see his daughter there. So he's like, wow. Is she okay? That's all he cares about.
I'm going to start crying.
Yeah, so that's what that whole song's about.
Wow.
And then, so it's just these different perspectives you can take on death. And at the end of it, they get this decision on whether they want to transcend to the next level, whatever you believe that is.
Yeah.
If they want to just go to nothingness, if that's what they want, or they can go back and try it again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the inspiration for that?
Crash. Have you seen the movie Crash?
No.
So the reason I was inspired by Crash is because at the end of it, you realize that every single one of those people is connected.
Wow.
So their stories are all connected, and as they tell their stories, they kind of start connecting the dots and realize they were all kind of in this together in a way.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And that it's very similar to like how Crash is. It shows like these different side stories, and as you get to the end, you see that they're all connected together.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love that in a way that, like, as a former social studies teacher, I always teach, like, the consequences of a decision can impact so many, especially when we're talking about people's in power and things like that. But it's not just when it comes to people's in power and organizations and entities. Like, individual decisions can have so many butterfly effects and so many rippling consequences that you don't even know and don't even understand.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's so cool.
It was a lot of fun to, like, it was hard to do the research.
I get that. That makes sense.
Just because the subject matter was so intense.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot of fun to do the challenge of connecting them and seeing how they, like, can play into each other. Like, the one who took his own life, he was the one who hit the father and the daughter.
Oh.
And his mother was dying in the hospital. So it's like all these different ways that they were connected and how those things affect, what decisions they made and how things played out.
And there's so many different emotions, too.
Yeah.
And there's, like, you feel so hard for the person who feels that down, but then there's also that anger for, like, the little girl and the dad. Like, there's it's so complicated, and I think that's such an important reminder that, like, truly in life, there's so many things that are not black and white.
Right.
And everything can really be so complex.
Yeah.
And it invokes so many different feelings, and, like, all of those feelings are so valid. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess to go back to your original question,
you're good.
It was all about, I start with a story,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of lay it out, and I used to write a lot more with my old bass player, Jesse,
Mm-hmm.
who was one of the ones who moved from Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so great to write with because I would just tell him what each song was about. I would say, this is the emotion I need to feel for
Mm-hmm.
the instrumental. So he would write the instrumentals for him. And then I would write the lyrics and the melodies for him.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And we were a good writing team when we did that. But he left the band a while ago now.
Oh.
And then, so then I started doing more of the writing instrumentally and everything. We did another concept record called The Incubus. And then after that, we've stayed unsigned for the most part. We did like an EP. We signed one other label.
What is an EP?
So an EP is like half of an album.
Okay.
So a full album is called an LP, which means long playing.
Okay.
And an EP means extended play, which is, it's confusing.
Yeah.
Why they call
But
that.
it's okay.
That's what it is, yeah. So
Interesting.
EP is like
okay.
half an album.
So is there like a specific length that something has to be considered an EP or an
Yeah.
LP? Okay.
Yeah, like an EP is like, I think it's like 30 minutes and under.
Okay, total. Okay.
And then an LP is anything beyond that.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be like 31 minutes and it's still considered a full album.
I don't think it's like
minutes.
the line's that hard. Like
Okay.
there's some gray area,
Okay.
but yeah.
That's fair. Do you have a specific album or song or anything that like just speaks the most to you as an artist, whether it's from the band or from your solo stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I would say most of the band stuff isn't super personal to me because they're all stories.
Okay. But the solo stuff is personal.
Yeah, the
Okay.
solo stuff is way more personal.
Okay. Are you okay talking about it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
That's kind of the theme of the solo stuff, especially with I've been releasing some new songs.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So exciting. I've been working on these for 2 years.
Oh, I love. How many are you releasing?
So no one knows this yet, but it's
Okay.
going to be 8 total. Yeah. By the time this is out, people will know.
Yeah.
So.
I can release this whenever you're ready for me to release this.
Yeah. So it's going to be it's an EP.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. And it's going to be 8 songs, and it's called Hard to Find.
Hard to find. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the one that you would consider like means the most to you? This EP?
Yes.
Okay.
Hands down.
Okay. Why? What's the inspiration for it?
Oh, all right. Yeah,
Oh, I'm ready. The
I'm gonna
heavy
have a
stuff?
sip of my
Yeah,
coffee.
get some caffeinated
Mhm.
juice.
All right. So, it it's been a tough last couple years.
I feel
for
that.
sure.
Oh, I so feel that.
Lots of loss,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
a lot of change.
Mm-hmm.
Lost my grandma.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
My old drummer, he was my best friend for like 10 years, and he was my brother-in-law for a long
Oh,
time. I married him and my sister.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
I'm so
had a
sorry.
lot of issues with alcohol. And yeah, so we lost him.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's awful. It was,
Alcoholism is such a ruthless disease. It's
yeah.
rough.
Yeah. And we tried to help as much as we could. But at the end of the day, like that's something you gotta
Be
want
receptive
to
to.
change, and you
Yeah.
have to change.
That's the most difficult part about these diseases, whether it's alcoholism or addiction. I just did an addiction episode not that long ago with a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And it's so true what people say, like in general, like people have to want to change for themselves and not just for everyone else. And even, Tiffany was talking about how she tried rehab and it didn't work, but the first time it wasn't for her. She went for her friends or family. And it wasn't until she decided that she wanted it for herself that it actually stuck. And even then, it's still such a journey and a process and can be so
Yeah.
grueling.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel for not just individuals like suffering from that, but the people around them that it really impacts as well, because it just does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. And also the last year, me and my fiance, we were engaged for 5 years and together for 12. We separated.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. She's an amazing person.
I get that.
Yeah, she's an amazing person. It just life happens. You grow in these separate ways, and it was almost harder separating like amicably because
Yeah.
you think it would be easier to be like, oh, you suck, I hate you, like just get away from me. I think in the short term, that is probably easier,
Yeah.
but in the long term, absolutely not, because then you're just carrying this heavy like feeling of hate and anger for so long for someone that you like cared about
Yeah.
and shared so much of your life with, and that's hard. That's a hard thing to carry.
Yeah.
So there's times where I've been like, yeah, I just want to be mad. I just want to be angry at you, and I was angry at some points, but I never hated, and I still, I still have so much love for her. Like I said, she's an amazing person, but it just wasn't gonna work. So that was tough, and I have a daughter too,
How
and
old?
she's almost 16.
Oh.
So 12 years we were together, and she's almost 16. That was tough for her too.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So navigating that was all very difficult, and this was all within like those 2 years. And then I left my teaching job, so I was a math tutor for 14 years. I did that last year.
That's soul crushing.
That was soul crushing.
It hurt so bad.
Yeah,
I get it.
that was tough. And then also like I started working another full-time job, and it was more corporate America tech kind of company, and so I didn't get to do music as much, but I've still been writing, but not playing shows as much. I still get to travel a lot with my job, which is great.
Love that.
Yeah, I love to travel. Like I love to be on the move, but I would say my whole life, and you'd probably get this as an entertainer, we're people pleasers by nature. Like it is our job, and especially if you start really young, if you're really on top of it, maybe you can separate work and real life. But if you're starting really young, like I started at 16, right? And I put so much of myself into the work I did that you can't separate that people pleasing from like what you feel like you need to do just all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that develops something that's just so dangerous, and can lead to these feelings of inadequacy and imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
And you're always just, you need to top what you did before. Even if you're not comparing yourself to someone else, you're always trying to top what you did before, which that's a good push. That's a good driver.
Yeah.
But it's a dangerous driver still.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So
Especially if you don't know your own limits.
Exactly. And we're young. We're trying to navigate that stuff as we go along. So that's what a lot of the EP is about. It's about the feelings of inadequacy, imposter syndrome, loss. There's a song about my grandma and Craig, and I had to watch them both in hospice, which is tough to see someone in hospice. Like, I love the hospice program. I think it's a beautiful thing that we have somewhere that someone can pass on peacefully, right?
As comfortably as possible.
Exactly. But it is a hard thing to see, and especially both times I had to leave before they were gone. And you leave kind of knowing that you're not going to see them again. So you're saying goodbye before they're gone. And that's what one of the songs is about. It's about letting go before they're even passed on. And sorry.
Are you a reader by chance? Do you read?
I'm an audiobook guy.
I have a friend. Her name is Hadley. She's a hospice nurse. I also did a episode with her, and she has this book. It's called The In Between. That I might. A lot of people have found it very comforting.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll send you a link. It's really good. It's a very popular book. But hospice is rough. I've had a great aunt who's been there for a couple years. Because they originally estimated that she would only have so much time, and then she's a stubborn one. She, she's still kicking, still, but it's also a very conflicting feeling,
right,
of, yay, you're around, but also you see the quality of life slowly deteriorate, and it becomes a very conflicting internal dilemma of, I want this person around. I don't want them to pass. Like it's like I selfishly crave their presence in their life, but then you see the quality of life, and it's that it almost feels cruel,
right?
As they slowly start to deteriorate, and it sometimes my parents will talk about it sometimes, and it's very conflicting of like what do you want for this person, and what is the best for this person, and what are the right answers, and what should you be hoping for? What
do they want?
Exactly. And they even know what they want, and they in a state where they can even advocate for themselves. So hospice is a beautiful system, and it's such a privilege to have that space. It also makes you confront some very interesting and complex emotions and feelings.
Absolutely. And I think so I guess I think about death a lot, because that's that one album is all about those different perspectives. And I would say that song that I was just talking about, like, specifically what it's about is I was saying goodbye to them, and saying it was okay to let go and move on to the other side, and then like, I'll be okay, you can let go, you can move on. You don't have to wait here for us. And then, but at the same time, it's them saying, I'll be okay, you can go.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
Yeah, because like I had to leave. I had to get home to my kid. I had to work the next day with Craig. I had to drive an hour and a half to my house. And the last thing I said to him when I left was, I'll see you in the morning. Because I thought was just going to come back the next day. And when I was naming that song, I realized all the other songs, the name came from the lyrics. And in that song specifically, there wasn't a lyric that would be a good name. I was like, what am I going to name this? And I landed on, I'll see you in the morning.
Oh, I'm going to... I can't contain the waterworks. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it was just a therapeutic this EP was very therapeutic.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's so valuable.
So I would say all of the songs on this one mean the most to me, to bring it back to what we were originally talking about.
I think that's so healing in general, and I think it's such a good example in general, because we were talking about this just the other day, and how it can be so difficult for especially like men in society to be able to be vulnerable and like confront a lot of tough feelings, especially when I feel like it's really only been recently where that kind of concept has been celebrated for men, which is so sad and so unfortunate.
It's awful.
And I like, even in today's society, like you can see that struggle of like wanting to present how like society has previously described like masculinity and what does it mean to be a man and things like that, versus like
that's such crap.
It's so harmful.
It is. It grosses me out.
Yeah.
Like I'm an emotional guy. Like I think it feels great to cry.
Sometimes you need it. It's so therapeutic.
You totally need it. Like, and I have male friends who they'll say some things sometimes, and I'm like, dude,
what are you saying?
Don't talk to yourself like that. Oh my God. And I've talked to myself like that a lot. I've not had a good internal voice. One thing I started to do over the last couple of years was going on these long walks. So like I get my 10,000 steps every day, right? I got like a 650 streak going or something like that.
We love it.
But originally that was like, I realized how many calories it burned. I was like, oh, this is sick. I'm gonna do that. But what I learned was like how much mental clarity I get from that, and how therapeutic it was. And there's some science behind it, where I forget what the therapy is, but when you're darted, there's like a light bar, and you're following the light back and forth. So your eyes are scanning, and when you're walking or driving, even, you're doing the same thing. Your eyes are scanning, and what that does is it like activates a part of your brain that makes you process more efficiently.
That's interesting.
So if you're ever worked up, like if you go on a walk, you're actively processing those emotions better. It's more efficient, it's faster, it's better. So like that's why it's so good to go on a walk when you're worked up.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I also read something, and there is a lot of like scientific and psychological terms associated with what I'm about to say. I just don't remember what they are. So I'm going to try to explain it the best that I can. But I read somewhere that in general, like humans, are meant to be outside, and are constantly like doing outdoor things, whether they were working outside or growing food or whatever, that people weren't meant to be outside all day, all the time. And that, there is a catch-22 of obviously like we're more aware of mental health issues now and we're able to diagnose them a little bit easier. But there's also a possibility of, are we seeing them more prevalent in society these days? And a lot of people are saying because we are so cooped up all the time, we're not getting the natural fresh air or the sunlight, and that's actually like inhibiting our mental health in a way. That when you're not able to get that fresh air, that sunlight, just get out of the house, that it's genuinely like contributing to the decline in mental health in society. So like those daily walks, probably a life changer. Even if it's 5 minutes, like a loop around your neighborhood, that I think would change so many people's lives, like to be able to just even process things that are going on in their lives.
100%. And I mean, and it's so much more than just going outside. It's like, a lot of people in northern Michigan, because there's a lack of sun a lot of the year.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, we're so deficient in vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how much vitamin D contributed to, like, your emotional well-being and your mental well-being, too.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, like, that's a real thing. And then, the food we eat doesn't have barely any nutrients in it either. So, like, we are deficient on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I would say it probably is the case that there's more mental health issues because of a lot of that.
That makes sense to me, especially since COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like I love the idea of remote work and hybrid work and people being able to work more on their schedule, but I think it's also become really harmful to the psyche. And I know I remember when my brother's job was like, oh, everyone has to go back to work. He hated it, you know? He was like, why do I want to leave my house? Why do I want to go in? And I don't see it as, like, I don't think that requiring to go to the office for, like, water cooler talk, as a lot of jobs were, like, trying to justify, oh, well, it's for the community. Well, not everyone is going to have a big community at their job. You know,
Right.
that's not realistic for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general, like, if you were going to be remote, still making a point to go outside for at least 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes every day. I think that's so important.
I totally agree. I couldn't not do that.
Yeah.
Like I would have to.
Even this year's been like so difficult for me also, like we were talking earlier. And I, especially in the last few months, my head has just been so hazy, cloudy, gloomy, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know why I did it. I've been wanting to start a garden for years. And I was never able to make it happen. Just never happened. And for whatever reason this year, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to order a little garden bed from Amazon. And I'm just going to start it. And literally just in the little bit of time of putting together the bed, going outside, watering, and like checking on my seeds every day, I noticed so much clarity just from being outside. Now I just go every morning. I spend like an hour on my little porch, my screened-in porch, and I sit with the cats, and I look at the plants that I planted, and I just, not sitting in the sun, because I'm a pale girly, I'll burn, you know, real easily. I was out there for an hour doing weeds. Oh, my legs looked like a lobster. It was so painful. But I'll stay on the screened-in porch. It's fine, but it's changed my days so much. And you don't even think about it. Like, scientifically, it makes sense, but it's not something that you think about at all, which is crazy.
Right.
I think I've spent more time on my screened-in porch in the last month than I have in the last 3 years of living there.
That's awesome.
Which is wild, yeah.
That's awesome. And, like, we're creatures of habit, too. Like, so if you can get into a good routine like that, it's so beneficial. But question for you.
I'm ready.
Are you familiar with Mel Robbins?
That sounds so familiar.
Yeah. So she's an author. She wrote this book called I think it's like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method or something like that.
Okay.
And then there's another one that's called the Let Them theory.
That's where I heard them. Let them. Mm-hmm.
Such a good book.
Okay.
So like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That just made me think of like you ordering the
coffees from today.
No,
the garden bed.
The garden bed. You just got to do it sometimes, and like that, just going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and you do it.
Oh, it's just a countdown.
It's just a countdown, and it's like it does something in your brain that's like I'm gonna make this my ritual.
Yeah.
So every time I need to do something I just don't want to do, I'm gonna count down from 5, and then I'm just gonna do it. So like because a lot of people go like, how do I just do that? How do I get to the point? Like I know what I want to do. I've planned it all. I've spent hours planning it, but I like haven't done it.
It's that, what is it called? It's a term, it's something paralysis. I can't remember what it's called. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's not ADHD. It's not ADHD paralysis. It's like now it's gonna bother me.
Like it's like
I need to look it up.
Paralysis or something like that.
Executive paralysis. Let's see if this even comes up. Nope, that's.
I know.
Hold on.
I'm annoyed right now because I know exactly what it is too.
Executive paralysis, often referred to as ADHD. No, that's not what that's task paralysis.
Task paralysis.
Yeah. Choice paralysis, task paralysis,
probably
ADHD
task paralysis.
Yeah. I experience that all the time.
Same, because I'm also super ADD.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like
get
same.
It done. Like,
get it done. I need
easy.
to put something on a calendar, or else it's not going to get done.
I have so many things that I have to do when we get done with this. It's
got to be written down, or else that's not happening.
Exactly, and that in itself can be so challenging for so many people. And I think, again, so what we were talking about, like these days, I think a lot of mental health issues are much more understood, diagnosed, accepted, and treated, versus, before it was, oh, well, you're just being lazy. And that's so harmful.
It is so harmful. And like, God, there's so much that stems like the root cause of task paralysis or any mental health issues. And it's like, you know what my least favorite advice is?
What?
When someone's like, you just gotta love yourself.
Oh my
It's
god!
Like, oh man, I never thought of that.
Let me just like go click that little button in my head. Or when it's like, hey, just don't stress out. Oh, okay. Let me go hit that button.
Sweet.
To magnetize the stress out of my body. Like, okay.
Right. Well, like, yeah, like whenever I heard that before, because I had a really hard time, like loving myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant exactly. I didn't know what that looked like.
Yeah.
And it made me so confused and frustrated when someone would say that to me, because like I don't know how to do that. I don't know what that looks like. Like I get it and I understand what you're saying. Like I need to love myself first before like I can even expect love from other people or love other people, like, and show that love to other people. I have to love them. Like I understand how. And there was this book, I forget, I'm spacing on the author, but the book is called God, what is it? It's like How to Unfuck Your Life, I think is what like the title of it is. Yeah. And he mentioned something about love being, it's not a feeling. Mm-hmm. Like you can feel love, but at the core of it, love is also an action. It's a verb.
Right, yeah.
So to cultivate the feeling of love, you need to actively love. So if you're trying to love yourself, you have to be actively doing things that shows that love to yourself. So like going on those walks for me, making a nice meal, treating myself to something. Like I need to do the action of love for myself, and the result is the cultivation of the feeling of love for myself. And I was like, that was such a aha moment for me, because I was struggling with that for so long, and I still struggle with it, but I remind myself love's an action and I need to actively do things that show love to myself, and then I will start to feel love for myself.
I have two thoughts on that, and I want to talk about both because I think they're so important.
Yeah.
And I think I was even thinking about this first one on the way over here, because I think a very small way that you can start showing love to yourself, that especially I think a lot of men struggle with because they don't think about it or they think it's dumb or whatever, is like self-care and like skincare. Oh, yeah. Like very small. Like I play a lot of video games with a group of guys, and I love them to bits and pieces. I love them with my whole heart. And just over the last couple months, a few of them have, I've heard them complain. One was complaining about, beard bumps, and you couldn't get them to go away, and they were so annoying. And another was complaining about something else. And I asked both of them, like, completely separate times, well, what's your skincare routine?
What's your routine?
And they're like, what
are you talking about?
What do you mean? And I think in general, like, so many dudes think it's dumb, or they're made to believe it's girly or feminine. But even one of them, I was like, what do you mean you don't have a skincare routine? You work outside. You're not putting on sunscreen? And I took both of them to Target, and took both of them to the store, and we went through, like, okay, you're outside and you need this. Like, we'll start small. Mm-hmm. Start small first. We'll get a face wash. We'll get a moisturizer with SPF. And once that's a routine, then we can add some more.
Get a little fancier.
And within, like, 2 weeks, one of them's like, oh, my God, my neck looks great.
Yeah.
Like, I feel good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great. Keep doing that for, like, a month. And if we need to add little things, we can. And even just seeing their outlook on themselves change with that tiny, tiny little fix.
It's the action of love.
That is so good for themselves. It's like, what?
That's how you learn to love yourself.
Yes.
You actively love yourself.
Exactly. Actively, little small things. Yeah. And it's so sad to me that something as simple and important as skincare, some guys are just so convinced, like, oh, well, that's girly. Well, men don't do that. Why? Why is that considered girly? Why is that considered dumb? It's literally skin is your biggest organ.
Yeah.
Why are you not taking care of it? Why is that considered feminine? I don't understand.
Who said that?
Right.
Who made that rule?
Who made the rule that taking care of the largest organ in your body is a feminine thing that guys don't do? That's dumb.
Makes no sense.
That's a dumb thing.
That's a dumb thing.
But I'll tell you when I learned how to love and accept myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I've told. I started to tell this on a podcast, and then I ADHD'd and got.
No, we're gonna keep you on track.
I
want to hear this.
Well, I was by myself, so I didn't have anyone to keep me on track. Growing up, for a lot of different reasons, I felt like I had to more contain myself. Whether woman growing up in the South, Jewish girl growing up in the South. Also hey, you're being loud, or you're a little much, or you're a little obnoxious, those comments that can really contain someone's energy.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Yeah, I hate it. Oh, I hate it. And that's kind of the mentality that I grew up in. And then when I started teaching, and I started getting up in front of the classroom and trying to find fun ways to get kids to care about anything,
right.
social studies, I could kind of unlock the silly a little bit. And it was, I loved teaching because I could also be myself, right? I could be fun and silly, and I didn't care if I looked dumb because I was making kids care about stuff,
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I got to just do that at school. And then when social media happened, remember, it all happened accidentally for me. It wasn't on purpose. I was just doing things to make the kids laugh. And so when it went viral, there was this kind of aha moment of oh, people don't hate me? I can be myself, and people like it.
I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
What?
What do you mean? And that was really my first step to really stepping into my own skin.
Yeah.
Because I was oh, I can speak up or have an opinion or be silly or do whatever, and it's not the end of the world. People, of course I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. I don't need to be.
Yeah.
But I can be me, and that's not a bad thing. And that was, I was 22, 23, and that was the first time that I was oh, okay.
That's
here
beautiful.
It is. Yeah,
that's
thanks.
awesome.
And it obviously would eventually lead to having some people leave my life and having other people come into my life, and that's fine. But if that's the cost of being who I am, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
That's a welcome. I wouldn't even call it a consequence.
Yeah. I think consequence is a neutral term. People just usually associate it with a negative term. You can have a good consequence.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep that one in my back pocket. I like that one.
I think if someone only associates consequence with negativity, then what are you doing where you're only getting negative consequences?
Right, because loss isn't always bad.
Yeah.
And consequence is usually associated with loss, right?
Yeah.
But if you're losing stuff that doesn't serve you.
And even if it might feel negative at first, but it's in the long run it's positive. For sure. And you will eventually come to find that.
Yep.
I think, yeah.
Especially if you're it's coming from you being yourself. And
exactly.
100%.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
When did you, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this because I'm just ADHDing all over the place. You are very secure in your vulnerabilities, and I think that's so valuable, in talking about them and accepting them and in noticing them. Has that always been easy for you, or is that something that you struggled with throughout your life, especially as a guy? Because again, we talked about how people are not very kind to men when it comes to them having emotions, and in modern times it's a lot better, but I think the older generation still struggles with that a lot.
It was not always easy for me. For a very long time, I thought I had to be a perfect front man,
macho
entertainer, not even macho.
Okay.
Because our scene wasn't even we weren't very macho guys.
Okay.
And
I don't know.
In the metalcore scene.
Okay.
We had straight hair, skinny black jeans. We weren't very macho, but you had to be pretty and thin.
Oh.
Right? So
was it why?
That's just how
that's
it was.
That's just the vibe. Okay,
yeah.
that's just the vibe.
To this day, I have terrible body dysmorphia.
Oh.
And that when I was little, I was a short little fat kid covered in acne. I got made fun for like a lot, which that's not unique to me, right? But there's a moment coming back to my old manager, my best friend. He when we first signed to the management company, the first thing he said to me was, "Awesome. Well, welcome to the team. You need to lose 60 pounds."
Oh, wow. 6-0?
6-0.
Oh, my gosh.
And I mean, and I did it.
Oh, my gosh.
And I mean, it was good that I'm not upset that I did it. I don't love what made me do it because I already had issues with that, prior. So him saying that, and he was like this bigger guy too. So I'm like, look who's, like, you have no right to say that to me. That's not, like, that sucks, but I'll do it. And I did. But since that day, like, I was 16 years old, being told, like, you need to, and he loved to threaten, like, lose the weight or I'll drop you. Do this or we'll drop you. Like, that was always the threat.
Manipulative.
Yeah, it was messed up. And contractually, I don't even know if they could have just dropped us like that. But anyways.
I feel like people don't realize that the industry, like, whether it's music, film, because I hear so many horror stories from my friends that are actors, actresses.
Right.
Like, the industry is not friendly.
No. I mean, you're a product.
Exactly. You make the money.
You make the money. That's why you're talking to each other.
I struggled with a lot of body dysmorphia throughout my life because I did cheerleading for so long. And now I think a lot of the rules are better. But before, like, I was 10 years old in a crop top and miniskirt on a stage.
Mm-hmm.
And, going to Thanksgiving break, don't eat too much, you know, those kinds of things. And in my life, after I quit teaching, when you're teaching, you're on your feet all day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left, I gained a little bit of weight. And I was not large, but it was the largest I had ever been. And with the 15 years of I did not love it. Like, I felt really bad about myself. And I'll never forget sitting in a sushi restaurant. I needed something to post on Instagram because I'm really bad at posting photos. And I ended up posting an old photo from when I was at that heavy point, and I lost a little bit of weight since then. I posted an old photo, and I remember someone commented, "LOL, thank goodness, you were starting to look kind of chunky." And I remember being so annoyed because I'm like, this is a photo from when I was heavier.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. But also, how dare you? And the person that I was at the restaurant with immediately looked me in the eye and said, "Well, I mean, it's one of your fans. I don't see, they clearly care about you, so you can't be too mad. They're just worried. But I guess technically, from a BMI standpoint, you probably would have been considered overweight. So it's not like they were wrong."
That is not the point.
Yeah.
At all.
And I just remember, that was about a year and a half ago. And I lost so much weight last summer. And I got down to unhealthy levels. Like, I'm doing better now, know. At my heaviest 2 years ago, I was like 130. And then I dropped down to like 199 about a year-ish ago. And then now I'm like back to 110. And I know like a lot of, especially women, don't talk about their weight online, but I'm very big in that I share the good and the bad.
Yeah.
I think especially having teaching teenagers, I think the idea of only sharing the good and the positive is so harmful, especially to those like young psyches that are just absorbing everything. So I try to share everything, even if it's uncomfortable or vulnerable. Now I still do have like my own little boundaries with that.
Yeah.
But I try to, I want to be realistic. I want to paint a realistic picture for people. And I think that individuals don't realize how comments matter, whether it's, well, you got to lose 60 pounds. Well, from a BMI standpoint, which no one uses BMI anyways. Like, it's a bad scale. It's just inherently a bad scale. But these are all things that just contribute so heavily to people's mental health issues. And when you're not able to deal with even the small things, body image issues, body dysmorphia, vulnerability, imposter syndrome, anxiety, like that can lead to really dangerous and dramatic things, whether someone, we're talking about alcoholism, drug addiction, other illnesses like that, self-harm, things like that. Like, people don't realize that it all starts with the small stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're not given a place to deal with that, or people don't take that seriously, it manifests into really dangerous stuff. And I think that's so important to be able to address and talk about.
Yeah. It's, and it doesn't even matter how thin you are when it comes to, like, body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Like, you could be looking great and still think you don't look great.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole thing. That's what it is. And you're totally right. Like, if you don't have a good outlet for those feelings, they do manifest into some dangerous habits.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I'm really grateful that I have music to write a lot of this into. Like, it was when I started going on those walks that I would hear these melodies in my head, and everything that I was dealing with that we talked about they kind of just formed on those walks. So what would happen was I'd get these melodies and hear lyrics in my head, and I would make voice memos. And after like a year and a half, I realized that I had a significant amount of these voice memos. I was like, I'm just gonna make an EP. I'm gonna record these songs and release it just because I want to and I can.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's where the whole EP even came from.
I love that. And I think, like, the way that you're so vulnerable in your music, like, it's so touching to other people, because I know people who have listened to you since they were like 14, right?
That's crazy.
Which is so cool. Which is so like so cool.
That's so cool.
And I remember them telling me a story about how they were dealing with, like, some self-worth issues, and they went to one of your concerts, and you talked, I think it was, forgive me if I'm getting this mixed up, I think you recently had a friend who passed.
That was the drummer, yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking about it on stage, and it was so meaningful to like for them to listen to, and it changed so much of their internal dialogue and their outlook, and it was just so touching for them. And I think that for people who are unable to really address and confront their own vulnerabilities, sometimes seeing someone else do it opens the door a little bit and like helps them figure out how to be vulnerable, and I think that's beautiful. Exactly.
And before I dropped my first single for this one, the first one, it's called Inadequate, and that's what it's about. It's about feeling like, I can look at my life and look at the things I've done and I've accomplished, and I'm really proud of it. But I also still feel inadequate a lot at the same time.
Absolutely.
So, like, the chorus in that is, each step I take feels infinite, so why does it seem so inadequate? That's the first line of it.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, yeah, like, I've done these things. Why do I still feel this way?
Yeah.
And it's hard to answer that question. I still don't know, but I think it does come back to that, like, well, I gotta love myself. Like, how do I do it? It all is tied together.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's, like, you go deeper, you start talking about, like, your inner child, and I've ignored that poor guy for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I'm really trying to, get in touch with that more again. Like, sometimes on my walks, I'll talk to myself straight up, out loud.
Like, I love that.
Yeah. And I was telling a friend that recently. He goes, what? I go, yeah. Like,
yeah, it's helpful.
Like, if I'm dealing with something, I will talk to myself as if I'm someone else. Like, still me, but, like, outside of me, talking to me.
Yeah.
Being like, it's okay. You literally did everything you could in this situation. Or, you could have done this better. And the fact that you didn't is a good learning experience. And I've been really trying to embrace all the difficult times.
Yeah.
And have gratitude for the grief. Have gratitude for any time that something difficult is happening to me, because if I frame it that way, I find it a lot easier to gain something from it.
Yeah.
Right.
Self-talk is so important.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah. And doing it, like, literally out loud is kind of a game changer.
Yeah. I read something, and again, I don't remember all the scientific words.
Sure.
There were a lot associated with it. But it's the idea that scientifically your body, like the cells, the atoms, like it listens to you.
Right.
Like when you like self-talk genuinely, scientifically, like it works.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Right.
It is so good.
And I would say a lot of the lyrics in these songs, like it's not a very positive EP. Like there's no positive message about it. It's more so
have to be. It's
exactly
acknowledging that sometimes
exactly
it's not positive, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's acknowledging the vulnerability of it. It's me saying I feel this way.
Yeah.
I don't like talking about as the position, as the entertainers we are at this position we're in. People look up to us sometimes, and we want to be like someone to look up to.
Yeah.
So being vulnerable is not always. It doesn't feel. It's a little counterintuitive, right? Like you feel like maybe I shouldn't talk about how inadequate I feel to these people who are looking up to me.
No.
But like
that's what's real.
Exactly.
I feel like for so long there's been look at the positive side, and it's kind of turned into this like
toxic
fake
positivity.
Toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Like there was so much of it when I was teaching during COVID. And sometimes I think it's important to just acknowledge some feelings are just negative.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just feel bad.
This stuff sucks.
And when people are like, oh, well, look on the bright side. Well,
why? What good do I get from that?
First of all, there's not always a bright side.
Yeah.
But also sometimes it's okay to just accept that you're having a bad day.
Name
or
your
a bad
feeling,
time,
too.
Or that this is just a bad feeling.
Yeah.
And pretending like it's not isn't actually addressing and dealing with it. It's just kind of stuffing it under the rug, and that's not helpful. That doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
It is okay to just feel bad sometimes.
Yeah. Like, and when I feel bad, I've been trying to do this thing, like a name the feeling kind of thing. I go, I'm sad right now. I'm really sad. This is why I'm sad, and that's okay. And I won't always be sad. But right now, I'm really sad, and this sucks. And, like, I feel inadequate right now, and I won't always feel inadequate. Right now I do. I feel like I'm getting older and I'm running out of time to do things, or I should be farther in my life, with where I'm at in time. Oh, we were going to talk about time.
Oh, yeah?
Right?
Yes, tell me.
Yeah. So, and that is such a big
factor.
Time
stresses me out.
Yeah, that's such a big factor
It gives
in
me so much anxiety.
Health, and 100%. Yeah, so I was going to tell you why I think time seems to go faster as you get older.
Oh,
okay.
That's so scary.
Yeah.
It does. I feel like it goes by so much quicker now than it did years ago.
So my theory is like it's all about relativity, right?
Uh-huh.
So let's say you're 10 years old. Mm-hmm. 5 years is half of your life, right?
Wow.
So you're 10 years old. That is the entirety of time that you've experienced that you know about. Uh-huh. You don't know what it feels like to be around for 20 years.
Yeah.
You're only 10 years old. So 5 years, that's half of your entire life, half of the time that you know about, right? Yeah. But if you're 20 years old, 5 years, that's a quarter of your life. Yeah. It's like nothing. 30 years old, like exponentially, those chunks get smaller as you experience overall more time.
Wow.
So, like, that's why a year used to seem like a long time. It seems like nothing now because when you're around for 32 years, that's one of 32.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
Right? So, like, as you get older,
you get
of course,
used to it.
Those chunks, they are getting smaller and they're going to feel smaller.
Oh, I just got chills.
Right? And I'm like, why? I feel like that just seems real obvious, but I've never heard anyone else say that.
I've never heard anyone say it like that before.
Yeah, it's like your experience time versus the chunks of time that we break it down to.
I understand that getting older is a privilege. I understand that.
We're supposed to.
The idea of getting older scares me to death.
Well, the alternative isn't great.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, and I know some people experience this, some people don't, and that's just totally fine. But, like, the idea of, like, I'm only 29. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't be this panicked and stressed out about... It's not even the idea of, like, getting older and just, like, looking older, being older. It's the idea of, like, the time. I don't know why. I've always been like that. Even at 18 years old, the idea of, oh, my gosh, I'm getting older. Like, how much time do I have left? That's always been something that I've struggled with so bad. I don't think I've ever said that online before, which is totally, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that too.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to live in the moment as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why, at this point, I'm too old to, not just be myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I started social media, once I really started, okay, this is my job, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It never even crossed my mind that there would be people in the industry with, an online persona kind of thing.
Right.
It never crossed my mind because I'm like, why would I be anybody else?
Yeah.
I didn't even think it was a possibility until I got into the industry and I was like, oh, you're not who I thought you were. That's crazy.
Right.
And I was like, wait, this is the thing? It's not just a one-off? People do this? I had no idea. Because I was like, who has the time to do that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That still blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a cool thing, being able to have that, because then you feel a little safer to do things or speak in a way that you don't normally feel safe in your own skin.
That makes sense.
But also, I wouldn't personally pass that off as this is me. I would pass that off as this is the
social media
persona I'm being. And I would want to make that clear in some way, but that's why I don't have a persona, because I don't think I could do it.
I think that there are some people that have very obvious personas,
mm-hmm.
but I'll never remember, or I'll never forget the moment I realized it was a thing. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it's not good or bad, whatever. Everyone, whatever floats your boat.
Exactly.
That's your business. I never even considered it to be a thing.
Yeah.
Never crossed my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, and then it kind of shows you, I guess I felt naive in that moment, if that also makes sense. Of oh, well, of course. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just rambling right now.
No.
My ADHD is...
No, I mean, that makes sense to feel that way. I just hope you weren't, hard on yourself about it.
I think... it's kind of what we were saying before, whether it be, the film industry, the music industry, social media industry. I think there's so many things that people really don't understand.
Oh, God.
How rough it is. And it's not all sunshine and roses. It's cutthroat. It's predatory.
Oh, yeah.
It's not great. It's, we're doing what
it's
we
great.
love. Yeah.
We're so privileged to do
very privileged
awesome stuff.
Exactly. We're so privileged, and we love what we do. But if we didn't love what we do, I don't think it would be worth it. You know what I mean?
No.
Dealing with everything that goes on. And I think that's why, we've done what we do for a long time at this point, and it's because we love what we do.
Right.
And I think there's so many people who come and go because they get into it, and they're like, oh, that this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I thought it was going to be.
And the industries change so fast,
much.
And exponentially faster.
Yeah. Yes.
As time has been, as technology progresses too. And things have changed a lot since when I started.
That's why I tried to, another aspect of I try to be really transparent about, what I do online. Because even people are always asking me, why don't you do blogs? And I'm like, because most of my daily life isn't interesting. I'm sitting at the computer, and I'm doing computer work, and I'm writing scripts, and I'm checking email. When I go on trips, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens, and then I do, but that's only a couple times a year. It's not as glamorous.
Sometimes I don't want to share that with you. Some time is just mine.
Sometimes I just want to be.
Yeah.
Well, I do a lot of video game stuff, and my friends are always like, "You're gonna stream?" I'm like, "No," because that's my me time.
Yeah.
With my friends that I just get to be and relax.
You don't get access to that one.
It's not even it's a secret. I just want to relax and just be off and just have fun with my friends.
And you're totally entitled to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Can you think of anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to touch on before we close up?
Oh, God.
And if not, I want to remind everyone when your singles are coming, or when your EP is coming out.
We talked about a lot of stuff.
A lot of good stuff. I think really important stuff.
Absolutely. Nothing off the top of my head,
That's
but
fine.
we could always do this again.
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So then remind everyone again, EP details.
Yes.
What they should be on the lookout for, where to find them.
Yes. So my next single, it's called I'll See You in the Morning.
Mm-hmm.
Morning spelled MOUR. N-I-N-G.
Oh my gosh,
if you
the
can't
art.
find it.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's with my solo stuff, Postscript.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming out June 16th.
That's so exciting.
And yeah, and I'll be announcing on that same day the EP, which will be coming in mid-July.
Oh,
Still have
that's
to
so
land on the
exciting.
date, but yeah.
Okay.
And that's called Hard to Find.
Congratulations.
Thank you
That's
so much.
exciting.
2 years of walks and reflecting
It's worth it.
and yeah, and my outlet of all the stuff.
But I think it's good. it's so therapeutic for you, and it's so therapeutic for those that listen.
I
and that
hope
love
other
it.
people can listen to it, maybe identify some things that they're holding on to, and maybe feel it enough to let some of it out.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Thanks for having me.
Oh,
this
was
was
so
fun.
much fun.
Yeah.
I knew we would be instant friends.
Totally.
But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I hope you loved AT as much as I've adored him, and I hope to see y'all next week. Bye, my lovelies.